Have you ever felt like a total fraud, despite all your accomplishments and accolades? That nagging voice in your head constantly whispering, it's only a matter of time before everyone realizes you don't belong here. If this scenario hits a little too close to home, my friend, you're not alone. You're in the grips of imposter syndrome, that persistent feeling of self-doubt and inadequacy that plagues even the most successful individuals. But fear not, because I'm here to be your guide on an unforgettable journey from fraud to fabulous. This is no ordinary self-help lecture. It's a relatable and insightful exploration of the insidious beast that is imposter syndrome and how to conquer it with a perfect blend of humor, vulnerability, and sheer determination. So are you ready to silence that cowardly inner critic once and for all? Let's dive in and embark on a transformative adventure that will have you laughing in the face of your insecurities and emerging as an unstoppable force of greatness. Buckle up, because this is just the beginning. Chapter 1. Unmasking the Imposter Within. What is imposter syndrome really? We've all been there, staring at our reflections, questioning if we truly deserve the success and accolades that have come our way. That nagging voice in our heads that whispers, "You're a fraud. It's only a matter of time before everyone figures out you don't belong here." This, my friends, is the dreaded imposter syndrome rearing its insidious head, and it's a silent saboteur that can strike anyone, regardless of their accomplishments or expertise. Imposter syndrome is that persistent feeling of self-doubt and inadequacy that plagues even the most accomplished individuals, making us question our abilities and achievements. It's like an unwanted party guest that crashes your confidence and refuses to leave, no matter how many times you try to kick them out. But here's the brutal truth. It doesn't discriminate. It can strike the fresh-faced intern, the seasoned CEO, the aspiring artist, or the award-winning author, lurking in the shadows and waiting to undermine our self-belief. So, how do you know if you're suffering from this insidious foe? Well, let's take a look at some of the telltale signs, including the unexpected ones that often go unnoticed. The validation void, where no amount of praise seems to stick. The progress trap, where you're hyper-focused on the milestones you haven't reached, disregarding the incredible journey you've already embarked on. The moving goalpost, where you constantly shift the bar, convincing yourself that there's always another level to attain. But that's not all. There's the perfectionist paradox, where you obsess over every minute detail, convinced that even the slightest flaw or mistake will expose you as a fraud. The comparison trap, where you constantly measure your worth against others, failing to recognize that everyone's path is unique and valid. And the imposter chameleon, where you adapt your behavior and personality to fit in with different groups, never feeling like your true self is enough. Sound familiar? If so, you're not alone. Imposter syndrome is a widespread phenomenon that can manifest in various aspects of our lives, from our careers to our relationships, and even our personal growth. It's a silent saboteur that can hold us back from reaching our full potential, convincing us that we don't deserve the success and happiness we've worked so hard to achieve. But fear not, for there is hope. By recognizing the signs of imposter syndrome and acknowledging its presence, you've already taken the first step towards conquering this insidious foe. Imagine a life where you can fully embrace your accomplishments, pursue your dreams with unwavering confidence, and silence that nagging voice of self-doubt once and for all. A life where you can stand tall, unapologetically owning your worth and celebrating your unique journey. It's time to break free from the shackles of imposter syndrome and unleash your unstoppable self. The path ahead may be challenging, but it's one worth embarking on, a journey of self-discovery, self-acceptance, and ultimately, self-empowerment. Chapter 2. The Imposter's Playground, Where Self-Doubt Thrives. In the previous chapter, we unmasked this insidious beast and exposed its telltale signs. But here's the brutal truth. This confidence crusher doesn't just lurk in our professional lives, it's a master of infiltration, worming its way into every nook and cranny of our existence, hell-bent on sabotaging our relationships, friendships, and even our personal growth. Imagine this scenario. You're on a date with someone you're really into, but instead of being present and enjoying the moment, you're consumed by thoughts like, what if they realize I'm not as interesting, successful, or attractive as they think? Or, I don't deserve someone this amazing. That nagging voice of self-doubt is imposter syndrome at its finest, convincing you that you're unworthy of love and affection, causing you to project an air of insecurity that can sabotage even the most promising connections. But the relentless saboteur doesn't stop there. Even in established relationships, it can wreak havoc, causing you to constantly question your partner's love and affection, thinking, they're just settling for me, or they'll eventually realize I'm not good enough. It's a vicious cycle of self-doubt that can strain even the strongest of bonds, all because you can't silence that inner critic telling you that you're a fraud. And friendships? Forget about it. These cherished connections, meant to be a safe haven where you can be your authentic self, become battlegrounds for imposter syndrome. Have you ever felt like a burden to your friends, convinced that they're only hanging out with you out of pity? Or maybe you found yourself constantly apologizing for taking up their time or energy, as if your presence is an inconvenience. These are classic signs of imposter syndrome infiltrating your friendships, causing you to devalue your worth and question the genuine affection of those closest to you. But wait, there's more. This insidious foe doesn't just stop at our relationships, it can also wreak havoc on our personal lives, holding us back from truly embracing our growth and potential. Have you ever found yourself identifying more with a past version of yourself rather than the person you've become? Maybe you still see yourself as the shy, awkward kid from high school, even though you've blossomed into a confident, successful adult. Or perhaps you cling to outdated labels or identities, unable to fully embrace the person you've evolved into. This is imposter syndrome at its most insidious, convincing you that your current self is somehow less valid or worthy than the person you used to be. It's a trap that can keep you stuck in a cycle of low self-worth and insecurity, preventing you from fully embracing the incredible journey you've been on. But fear not, my friends. While imposter syndrome may be a formidable foe, it's one that can be conquered. By recognizing its sneaky tactics and acknowledging its impact, you've already taken the first step towards reclaiming your power. Chapter 3: Shattering the Imposter's Mirror. Mindset Shifts for Unbreakable Confidence. Alright folks, we spent enough time dissecting the insidious nature of imposter syndrome and exposing its sneaky tactics, but now, the gloves are off, and we're taking the bull by the horns to dismantle the imposter's mirror that distorts our self-perception once and for all. Let's start with a hard truth. We've all fallen victim to the comparison trap at some point. You know the drill, scrolling through social media, seeing someone's highlight reel, and immediately feeling like a failure in comparison. Or maybe you found yourself dwelling on past mistakes, convinced that they define your worth and capabilities, rendering you a fraud despite your accomplishments. But here's the thing, those feelings of inadequacy, or feeling like you're just faking it until you make it, are often the result of something incredibly positive: ambition. That burning desire to grow, to push boundaries, and to achieve more is a double-edged sword. It's what drives us forward, but it's also what fuels the imposter syndrome beast, whispering in our ears that we're never quite good enough. So how do we tame this beast and cultivate unbreakable confidence? It all starts with a mindset shift, and we're about to dive into 3 game changers that will leave imposter syndrome quaking in its boots. The first weapon in our arsenal: conscious gratitude. Instead of fixating on what you haven't achieved or the milestones you've yet to reach, take a moment to appreciate the incredible journey you've been on. Celebrate the small wins, the obstacles you've overcome, and the growth you've experienced. Because let's be real, if you're feeling like an imposter, it means you've accomplished something remarkable, something that your past self might have deemed impossible. Next up, we have what I like to call identity switching. Too often we get stuck in outdated versions of ourselves, clinging to past insecurities and limiting beliefs. But here's the truth, you are not the same person you were yesterday, last year, or a decade ago. You're constantly evolving, growing, and becoming the best version of yourself. So instead of fixating on the person you used to be, start envisioning the person you're becoming. Imagine yourself as the confident, successful, and fabulous individual you're destined to be. See yourself crushing your goals, radiating self-assurance, and owning your worth. Last, but certainly not least, we have the ultimate mindset shift: self-love. I know it's easier said than done, but hear me out, because this one is a game changer. Imposter syndrome thrives on negative self-talk, self-criticism, and a general lack of self-worth. But when you cultivate self-love, you create an unbreakable foundation of confidence that no amount of self-doubt can shake. So, how do you practice self-love? Start by being your own cheerleader. Celebrate your wins, no matter how small. Speak to yourself with kindness and compassion, just as you would a dear friend. And most importantly, ditch the victim mindset. You're not a helpless bystander in your own life. You have the power to rewrite your narrative and embrace your fabulous self. Incorporate positive affirmations, self-care rituals, and a healthy dose of self-appreciation into your daily routine. Because when you truly love and accept yourself, imposter syndrome doesn't stand a chance. Are you ready to shatter the imposter's mirror and step into your unstoppable, confident self? With these mindset shifts in your arsenal, you're about to embark on a journey of self-discovery and self-empowerment that will leave imposter syndrome in the dust. It's time to unleash the fabulous, unstoppable version of yourself that's been waiting to shine. Buckle up, because this is just the beginning. Chapter 4. The Imposter's Kryptonite. Practical Solutions to Conquer Self-Doubt. Alright my friends, it's time to get brutally honest. We spent enough time unmasking the imposter syndrome beast, dissecting its insidious tactics, and arming ourselves with powerful mindset shifts. But now, the gloves are off, and we're about to unleash our inner superheroes by revealing the imposter's ultimate kryptonite, a badass arsenal of practical solutions designed to vanquish self-doubt once and for all. I know what you're thinking. But self-mastery labs, I have tried everything and that nagging voice of self-doubt just won't shut up. Trust me, I've been there, staring at my reflection, wondering, who am I kidding? I'm just a fraud waiting to be exposed. It's a gut-wrenching feeling that can leave you paralyzed, questioning every accomplishment and doubting your worthiness. But here's the thing. That voice, that relentless inner critic, is nothing more than a cowardly bully that thrives on our insecurities and fears. And you know what we do with bullies? We stand up to them, we call out their lies, and we show them who's boss with a healthy dose of humor and unwavering determination. So, let's start with the first weapon in our anti-imposter arsenal, the portfolio of proof. Imposter syndrome loves to gaslight us, convincing us that our accomplishments are mere flukes or that we don't deserve our successes. But what if we had a tangible reminder of all the times we've kicked butt and proven that inner critic wrong? That's where the portfolio of proof comes in. Start intentionally celebrating your wins, no matter how small. Keep a record of your achievements, the obstacles you've overcome, and the times you've defied the odds, because when that nagging voice of self-doubt starts whispering in your ear, you can whip out your portfolio and say, oh yeah? Well, take a look at this, buddy. Who's the fraud now? Next up, we have the power of vulnerability, a superpower that might seem counterintuitive at first. But hear me out. Imposter syndrome thrives in secrecy, feeding off our fears of being exposed as frauds. But when we get vulnerable and share our struggles with loved ones, we create a support system that validates our experiences and reminds us that we're not alone in this battle against self-doubt. So, don't be afraid to open up to your friends, family, or even a trusted mentor. Share your insecurities, your fears, and your doubts. You might be surprised to find that they've been battling their own inner imposters too. And together, you can slay those self-doubting dragons once and for all with a healthy dose of laughter and camaraderie. But wait, there's more. We're also going to do a little something called a SWOT analysis. No, we're not talking about the tactical team. Although, let's be real, they'd probably be pretty handy in this fight against imposter syndrome. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. By taking an honest look at our strengths and weaknesses, we can better understand the root causes of our imposter syndrome and develop strategies to address them. And by identifying opportunities and threats, we can proactively tackle any potential roadblocks or triggers that might fuel our self-doubt, turning them into opportunities for growth and self-discovery. Last but not least, we have the ultimate weapon in our anti-imposter arsenal, exposure therapy. Now, I know what you're thinking. Self-mastery labs, you want me to voluntarily experience failure? Are you crazy? But hear me out, because this one is a game changer that might just leave you laughing in the face of your inner critic. You see, imposter syndrome thrives on our fear of failure. It convinces us that if we mess up, if we stumble, if we don't live up to our own impossibly high standards, we'll be exposed as the frauds we believe ourselves to be. But what if we take away that fear? What if we openly and voluntarily experience failure, proving to ourselves that it's not the end of the world, but rather a stepping stone to growth and self-acceptance? By embracing exposure therapy, we invalidate the negative self-talk associated with imposter syndrome. We prove to ourselves that we can survive failure, that we can learn from our mistakes, and that we are so much more than our insecurities would have us believe. And in the process, we might just find ourselves laughing at the absurdity of it all, realizing that our fears were nothing more than figments of our own self-doubt. So, are you ready to unleash your inner superhero and slay the imposter syndrome beast once and for all? With this arsenal of practical solutions at your disposal, you're about to embark on a journey of self-discovery, self-acceptance, and ultimately self-empowerment. It's time to embrace your fabulous, unstoppable self and leave that cowardly inner critic in the dust with a healthy dose of humor and unwavering determination. Chapter 5, From Imposter to Imposter, My Personal Journey and Your Invitation to Greatness. Alright my friends, we've come a long way on this journey of conquering imposter syndrome. We've unmasked the beast, exposed its sneaky tactics, and armed ourselves with a badass arsenal of practical solutions to slay self-doubt once and for all. But before we part ways, I want to share a deeply personal and emotionally resonant story. A tale of my own struggles with imposter syndrome and the ultimate exposure therapy that helped me embrace my worth and become an imposter of greatness. Let me take you back to the early days of this very YouTube channel. I had a vision, a burning desire to share my knowledge and experiences with the world. But there was one major roadblock standing in my way: imposter syndrome. That nagging voice in my head kept whispering, "Who are you to think you have something valuable to share? You're just a fraud, and everyone will see right through you." It was a gut-wrenching feeling that left me paralyzed, questioning my every move and doubting my worthiness. So, what did I do? I hid. I made the decision to keep this channel faceless, using stock videos and animations to mask my identity. Because in my mind, if no one could see the real me, they couldn't expose me as the imposter I believed myself to be. Little did I know, that decision was the first step in my ultimate exposure therapy, a journey that would challenge me to confront my fears head on and embrace the possibility of failure. You see, as this channel grows, as we gain more and more subscribers, we're almost at 5,000, can you believe it? Something started to shift within me. With each video I create, each piece of content I put out into the world, I am slowly but surely exposing myself to the possibility of failure and surviving. I realized that even if I stumbled over my words, even if I made a mistake or shared something that didn't resonate with everyone, the world didn't come crashing down. In fact, the more I embraced my vulnerability, the more I connected with all of you, my incredible audience. And that's when it hit me. Imposter syndrome was the real fraud. It was a lie I had been telling myself, a self-imposed limitation that was holding me back from fully embracing my potential and sharing my gifts with the world. So, here I am, a full-time student, working every weekend and pouring my heart and soul into this channel. And you know what? I'm still a little scared. I still have moments where that nagging voice of self-doubt tries to creep in. But now, I have the tools to shut it down with a healthy dose of humor and unwavering determination. I have my portfolio of proof, a tangible reminder of all the times I've defied the odds and achieved something remarkable. I have my support system, a tribe of loved ones who remind me that I'm not alone in this journey. And most importantly, I have the exposure therapy, the willingness to put myself out there, to embrace the possibility of failure, and to realize that it doesn't define my worth or my ability to achieve greatness. And that, my friends, is my invitation to you. Join me on this path of becoming an imposter of greatness. Fearlessly pursue your dreams without the weight of self-doubt holding you back. Embrace vulnerability, celebrate your wins, and learn from your failures, because they are not setbacks, but stepping stones on the journey to your fabulous, unstoppable self. So, what do you say? Are you ready to take the leap and leave imposter syndrome in the dust? Share your thoughts, your experiences, and your commitments to conquering self-doubt in the comments below, because this is just the beginning of our journey, and I can't wait to see the incredible heights we'll reach together as imposters of greatness.